Welcome all readers and listeners. I decided to start right on the dot because we have a lot of readers and we only have a certain amount of time before they throw us out of the library. So in April, I'm Judith Steinbergh, and in April I was honored to be appointed Poet Laureate of Brookline for 2 years. Brookline is a very literary town with much interest in writing and reading poetry. And we are lucky to have residents from all over the world, countries where poetry is more central to the culture, more wrapped in history, more spoken, sung, and heard than it is here, even in America. This summer, by a lovely lake, I envisioned this reading, and through the generosity of my friends and colleagues, the help of the Brookline Public Schools, and interest in poetry from all around the world, we will hear roughly 17 readers read in 8 different languages. Some are experienced readers and others are new to reading. Each has only a brief time, but let us honor their chosen poems at the end of each person's time at the microphone with enthusiasm. Before you leave, please look at the amazing display offered by Zephyr Books. And Jim Cates, one of the readers, is the co-director, editor of Zephyr Books, which publishes poetry from around the world in translation. I want to thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy this first World of Poetry reading for our community. I thought that I would read a small poem by Emily Dickinson, and just something that maybe pulls all these poems together in English. Tell all the truth and tell it slant. Success in circuit lies, too bright for our infirm delight, the truth's superb surprise. As lightning to the children eased with explanation kind, the truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. Our first reader is Lilia Levitina, with whom I taught for many years at Driscoll School. She guided many students new to English toward fluency. Both here and in Russia, Lilia produced and directed many plays in both languages. Her full essay about the poem that she will read is on the table. If there aren't enough copies and you wish to have it, you can just leave your name with a little note on the sign-in sheet. It's a very beautiful, lyrical kind of memoir. So I give you Lilia Levitina.
I would like to open the evening with 4 lines from Анна Ахматова. Ржавеет золото и истлевает сталь, крошится мрамор, к смерти все готово. Всего прочнее на земле печаль и долговечней царственное слово. Gold will rust and steel decay. Marble will crumble. For death, everything's prepared. What is most reliable on earth is sorrow, and most enduring, the Almighty Word. English translation by Jim Cates. Akhmatova had burned the notebook with these 4 lines and forgot she ever wrote them. But somebody memorized the poem before the autodate, and it rose from the ashes, re-emerged from the oblivion. It was published, and now, over a half a century later, in a different country and in a different tongue, it sounds here and resonates with the idea of this evening. Poetry transcends oppression, boundaries, and yes, languages. Today I will read a poem, Epitaphy Babushkinому dvoru, the Epitaph to Babushka's Yard, by Timur Kibirov. Please, Babushka is grandmother. It's not a babushka and not a kerchief. I do not have a translation of the poem into English, so I will walk you through Kibirov's childhood winter frolics. They were mine as well, and I want to say our winter frolics. But Kibirov actually uses the pronoun "ты," you, yours. So, snow was your forbidden winter fruit. You would pick it, press it in your hot palm, and it became dark and smooth, and you would suck on it, making sure you're out of the view from Babushka's window. And when you did get sick with angina, sore throat, the guilt of violating Babushka's prohibition haunted you in the feverish dreams. Playing in the yard on a cold winter day, you were always hot and thirsty because Babushkas did put a kerchief on your head under the fur hat for warmth, and your neck was always itchy, and you dreamed of tearing that kerchief off. And you wore valenki с галошами, felt boots and galoshes, and nothing was more exciting than to leave a checkered footprint on the virgin snow. And your mittens were sewn to an elastic band, which was secured to the fur coat, because if you lost those mittens, it made a hole in the family budget. And the mittens on the elastic, when you slid out of them, gained the life of their own and danced to your every movement. And when you rolled the snow bubbles out of sticky snow, they were snow women, not snowmen. The roll stripped the dirt of its snow cover, and all of a sudden the green grass laid open. And you loved those dark, smooth, icy patches where you had glissading contests, and where, of course, you fell spectacularly. And when you did, the fleece on your sweatpants, especially on the knees, got covered with those little balls of snow, which froze and formed icy knee guards. And it was fun to pull on the balls and to tear them off together with the hairy, dark blue threads. And then there were those snowbirds, snigiri, the size of a fat sparrow with a red robin-like chest, but brighter, almost the color of a male cardinal. These crimson snigiri hopped through the winter landscape of your childhood. They have somehow disappeared from real life, but become immortal in the works of art. Here in Brookline, a Russian-speaking kindergarten student of mine who was born in the States pointed to a red-chested bird in her drawing and said in perfect English accent, "This is a snigir." The snigir of our childhood had migrated full circle and become mythological. And of course, we all, Jews and Christians, had Christmas trees. But in our atheistic society, we did not know it was a Christmas tree. We called it simply yolka, a fir tree. And yolka was magical, and its ornaments reflected the curved world of the room in a magical way. And we would lay in bed, looking at this transformation, our fur coats and fleece pants dripping water by the cast iron steam water heaters, listening to a horror story, the crown jewel of the Soviet didactic pedagogy in rhyme, Pismo Eunae, the letter to don't know how, in which a mailman tries to deliver it to the addressee, a bad, lazy, don't know how boy or girl, and all the little boys and girls in town at the threat of being discovered as such immediately get rid of their shortcomings. Curled up in our beds and listening to our babushkas reading the story, Kibirov and I, and millions of our peer fellow citizens had a horrifying epiphany of being a new maker, and don't know how, ourselves. But babushka's voice lulled us to sleep, and tired from all the games in the snow, we felt sin-free, knowing that babushka would deny the mailman the right to hand us the letter with a shameful label on it. Эпитафии бабушкиному двору. Ты от бега и снега налипшего взмок, потемневший, подтаявший, гладкий снежок ты сжимаешь в горячей ладошке и сосешь, воровато и жадно, хотя пить от этого хочешь сильнее. Жарко, Снять бы противный девчачий платок из-под шапки. По гладкой дорожке, разогнавшись, скользишь, чтоб полметра спустя вверх тормашками, как от подножки. Солнце светит, не греет, но все же печет. И в цигейке с родного плеча горячо. Жарко дышит безгрешное тело, и болтаются варежки у рукавов, и прикреплены крепко снегурки. Ледяной корою покрылся начес на коленях. И вот уже целый месяц елка в зеркальном сиянии шаров искривляет мир комнаты белый. И ангиной грозит тебе снег питьевой. Впрочем, это позднее, а раньше всего. Сладострастнее всего вспоминаешь четкий вафельный снег от калош на пустом, на белейшем крахмальном покрове. И земля с еще свежей зеленой травой обнажится, когда ты валяешь мокрый снег, налипающий пласт за пластом, и пузатую бабу ваяешь. У колонки наросты негладкого льда снегири. Почему-то потом никогда не видал их. А может, и раньше видел лишь на веселых картинках и сам перенес их на нашу скамейку. Только это стоит перед глазами всегда. Смех, шутки, на кухне стекает вода. Ты в постели свернулся в клубок и примолк. Вспоминаешь письмо Неумейки.
Lilia, thank you very much. That was exquisite. And now I would like to introduce our next reader. Annette Pringle was born and raised in Germany, and she has lived here for many decades. Her daughter is my daughter-in-law. In London, she was chief librarian of the Wiener Library and Institute for Contemporary History, and then worked for 40 years for the Leo Beck Institute, which published a yearbook on the history of German Jewry, and 10 years on the Einstein Papers, an editing project publishing Einstein's collected works. Please welcome Annette Pringle.
Well, this is a hard act to follow, and I'm one of the new readers, inexperienced. I'm going to read from Germany's foremost writer and poet, playwright, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 1749 to 1832, just to put a reference. This poem is from his play Faust, in which Faust sells his soul to the devil, Mephisto, in order to gain more knowledge and have adventures. And in the course of his adventures, he comes across an innocent maiden called Gretchen, short for Margaret, and he ruins her life. He seduces her. She becomes pregnant, she kills her mother, her unborn child, or her newborn child rather, but her soul is redeemed and goes to heaven finally. But in this poem she describes her despair at her situation and also her still undying love for the seducer. So this is called, I read it first in German, then in English. Gretchen am Spinnrad. Meine Ruh ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer. Ich finde sie nimmer und nimmer mehr. Wo ich ihn nicht hab, ist mir das Grab. Die ganze Welt ist mir vergällt. Mein armer Kopf ist mir verrückt. Mein armer Sinn ist mir zerstückt, meine Ruh ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer, ich finde sie nimmer und nimmermehr. Nach ihm nur schau ich zum Fenster hinaus, nach ihm nur geh ich aus dem Haus. Sein hoher Gang, seine edle Gestalt, seines Mundes Lächeln, seiner Augen Gewalt und seiner Rede Zauberfluss, sein Händedruck und ach, sein Kuss. Meine Ruh ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer, ich finde sie nimmer und nimmermehr. Mein Busen drängt sich nach ihm hin, ach, dürft ich fassen und halten ihn und küssen ihn, so wie ich wollt, an seinen Küssen vergehen sollt. Meine Ruh ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer, ich finde sie nimmer und nimmermehr. My peace is gone, my heart is sore, I'll find it never and never more. Without him here, my grave is near, my world around is sadness bound. My sorry head is all forlorn, my sorry soul to pieces torn. My peace is gone, my heart is sore, I'll find it never and never more. It's only him I'm looking for him alone I tend my door. His lofty walk, his noble sight, his smiling face, his glance is might, and his expressions magic bliss, his touch of hand, and oh, his kiss. My peace is gone, my heart is sore, I'll find it never and never more. My bosom presses towards his skin, oh, may I hold him and draw him in, and may I kiss him as once my heart, under his kisses to fall apart. My peace is gone, my heart is sore, I'll find it never and never more. Oh, I'm sorry, the translator you wanted to know was letter A, hour. Of this, but this one I chose just because it seemed, I don't know, it resonated with me. In fact, it's not the translation from the book that I had originally.
Thank you, thank you. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Tonight in the program it says that Roya Amig is going to be here, but it turned out she cannot. So I wonder if Rosemie, would you like to come and read your poem now? And this is going to be a poem in Flemish. Rosemie is actually come down from Lynn, and she is a mathematician. I don't know a whole lot about her.
I don't know whether I can read one or two, or just one. Do you have time? This is just very short, and this is a long.
Maybe just read the long one.
Yeah, okay. This poem is written by a Flemish poet who was born in 1947 and has always written poetry. So he really lives in poetry. He just got the prize in, I forget all the details, because he has had already many, many prizes in the Netherlands and Flanders. And he writes very often in the I form, but to change it a little, since lately he writes more in the we form. I have a poem here where there's more the we. And this was translated by myself because I didn't find the translation, so you will have to forgive me. I'm not a poet. I don't know whether you like me to first read it in Dutch and then the translation, or vice versa.
Maybe the translation first. And
the translation first.
Just stand closer to
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, like this?
Yeah.
Is this okay?
Yeah.
So I chose as title Weariness. When we, the grown-ups, are tired of talking to each other, when we are tired of speaking with each other, walking and dealing with each other, dining and battling with each other, when we are so tired of each other, of the togethering of each other, we put the cat on our shoulders, we go into the garden and find the children's voices behind the high edges in the treehouse. And silently, we lay our fatigue in the grass, and the years that heavy and dark slept in the hem of our coat uncover themselves high in a boy's throat and dance up and down in a girl's wet mouth. And we, the grown-ups, tired of talking to each other, we go into the garden and conceal ourselves in a cat, in the grass, in the child. Vermoeidheid. Als wij, de grote mensen, moe zijn van het praten met elkaar. Als we moe zijn van het slapen met elkaar. Het wandelen en handel drijven met elkaar. Het tafelen en oorlog voeren met elkaar. Als wij zo moe zijn van elkaar. Van het elkaren van elkaar. Dan zetten we de kat op onze schouder. Gaan de tuin in en zoeken de kinderstemmen achter de hoge hagen en in de boomhut. En zwijgend leggen wij onze vermoeidheid in het gras. En de jaren die zwaar en donker sliepen in de zoom van onze jas ontbloten zich daarboven in een jongenskeel en dansen op en neer in een vochtige meisjesmond. Als wij, de grote mensen, moe zijn van het praten, van het praten met elkaar, gaan we de tuin in en verzwijgen ons in de kat, in het gras, in het kind.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. And maybe we can merge the Lynn and the Brookline speak-outs. I would like to introduce next Rick Calleja, my longtime colleague and a poet himself. He's a treasured teacher of Spanish at Brookline High School who won the prestigious Calverley Award from the Brookline schools. He will read in Spanish and a poem of his own.
No, I'll do a poem by a student.
Okay. Rick Calleja.
Hi. So, through this great lady here, I learned a lot about poetry in English. And yet, I have a very special place in my heart for the poet I learned as a child, the Cuban Jose Marti, who is not only a poet, but he's like our national hero. So I'll give you an example. So in the little town village of Dos Rios, where my father's from, this is a bust of Jose Marti. And in Havana, the biggest city in Cuba, there are many statues of Jose Marti. The biggest one is this one. So, what I like about him is, other than that he is the one person that bridges the divides between the Cubans on the island and the Cubans over here. We all kind of agree that we both try to follow his ideals, you know, even though we disagree with each other. Now, what's interesting about this is Jose Marti died for Cuba's freedom, but he wrote these poems. My favorite poem, which was an autobiographical poem that has 80 verses called Los Versos Sencillos, or the simple verses, in the Catskill Mountains of New York State, where basically exhausted himself through all these different activities that he was involved in. He was sent by the doctor to the Catskill Mountains to recover. And there, being around nature and everything, he wrote these verses. Now, anybody familiar with the song Guantanamera? That was actually Pete Seeger, the great American folk singer, and the Cuban friend that he had, they adapted these verses to an old Cuban folk tune, Guantanamera, and all of them can be actually, all 80 of them can be sung to that tune. Now, I'll do the Spanish. Well, should I start with do the English first or the Spanish?
What do people prefer?
Yeah. All right. And okay, if you want to see like a real poetic translation, I recommend this book. But I'll sort of do my own. Okay, so one of the things that I like about Jose Marti is the idea of, in this poem, it's also a great poem to teach students part of it, because it's a poem about self-definition and how the self we want to present to the world. So he starts like this. Yo soy un hombre sincero de donde crece la palma y antes de morir me quiero echar mis versos del alma. I am a sincere man from where the palm trees grow, and before I die, I want to pour out the verses from my heart. So this is the man trying to define who he is. Yo vengo de todas partes y hacia todas partes voy. Arte soy entre las artes, en los montes, montes soy. So not a man is not only anchored in a place, he saw himself as a man from everywhere. I come from everywhere and towards everywhere I go. Art, I am among the arts, and in the hills, a hill I am. Yo sé los nombres extraños de las hierbas y las flores, y de mortales engaños, y de sublimes dolores. And so this is about experience and nature come together. I know the strange names of herbs and flowers, and of mortal deceptions, and sublime sorrows. Alas nacer vi en los hombros de las mujeres hermosas, y salir de los escombros volando las mariposas. This one is about the whole idea of how beauty can emerge from ugliness. Wings I saw sprout in the shoulders of beautiful women, and fly out of ash heaps, butterflies. And this is my favorite one, because this is like my favorite touchstone, like, and I will leave it in this one. Yo he visto al águila herida volar al azul sereno y morir en su guarida la víbora del veneno. I've seen the wounded eagle fly to the serene blue, and the poisonous viper die in its lair. The struggle between good and evil. Evil is wounded, good is wounded, but it survives. And then another one of my touchstones. Corazón que lleva rota el ancla fiel del hogar, va como barca perdida que no sabe a dónde va. A heart that is broken, the faithful anchor of home, knows not where it's, goes like a lost boat that knows not where it's going. Now this is autobiographical in the sense that Jose Marti actually was forced to leave Cuba at the age of 17, and he was never able to return until he returned and was killed in the War of Independence. So he always felt this longing for the island that he couldn't be part of. And this was the one that Pete Seeger used for his, when he put the Guantanamera song, which is a very famous one. Con los pobres de la tierra quiero yo mi suerte echar, el arroyo de la sierra me complace más que el mar. With the poor of the earth I want to share my fate. The brook of the mountain pleases me more than the sea. The idea that the brook can give you refreshment while the sea cannot. Denle al vano el oro tierno que arde y brilla en el crisol. A mí denme el bosque eterno cuando rompen el sol. Give the vain man the tender gold that shines and burns in the crucible. Give me the eternal forest when the sun breaks through it. The idea that the gold of the sun is more valuable than the gold that people die over. And this one is the idea of, this one is a personal favorite of mine, and also made famous by Celia Cruz, a great Cuban singer, in her version of Guantanamera. Cultivo una rosa blanca en junio como en enero, para el amigo sincero que me da su mano franca, y para el cruel que me arranca el corazón con que vivo, cardo mi ortiga cultivo una rosa blanca. A white rose I cultivate in June as in January, for the sincere friend that gives me his frank hand. And for the cruel one that tears the heart with which I live, thorns nor thistles do I cultivate. I also grow for him a white rose. And the final one, which is, I think, was almost prophetic, is Yo quiero cuando me muera, sin patria pero sin amo, tener en mi tumba un ramo de flores y una bandera. I want when I die, without a fatherland but without a master, to have in my tomb a flower, a bouquet of flowers and a flag. And that's, I think that's, if you go to his grave in Santiago, you'll find always like a bouquet of flowers and the flag. And I want to read, so I do a few of these poems with my students, and I think that it's really interesting how poems that are over 100 years old still resonate with young people, because the themes that they touch, that he deals with, are so current. So this is a student of mine named Anna. I was hoping she was going to come today, but I want to read her anyway. And she is Italian, so the poem, they had to use some of the lines, you know, like a starting line. I am. So she says, Yo soy del mar, yo soy del azul oscuro mar tirreno, y de árboles de limón que desprenden un olor dulce y fresco, de los rascacielos que proyectan su reflejo brillante en el agua por la noche y las ballenas jorobadas con su piel gris antigua. I am from the dark Tyrrhenian Sea, and from lemon trees they give off their sweet fragrance, and of skyscrapers that project their brilliant reflection on water at night, and of crooked jorobadas, I'm trying to say whales with their ancient gray skins. A veces tengo que salir de la realidad, así que me imagino otro tiempo, un lugar, un paisaje, y voy a mi flor Edelweiss, que nadie puede encontrar en lo alto de las montañas, camuflajeada entre las piedras blancas. Sometimes I have to leave reality, and then I imagine another time, place, and landscape, and I go to my Edelweiss flower that no one can find in the high mountains, camouflaged among the white stones. And I'll read one more because I think it's really fun. A veces pienso que es cómico que las aves viven sin brazos para ayudarlas, y al mismo tiempo ellos deben pensar que somos miserables porque no tenemos alas para volar. Sometimes I think it's comical that birds live without arms to help them out. Yet at the same time, they must think that we are the miserable ones because we have no wings to fly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. I know everybody will want their children to have Rick for their Spanish teacher. I'm now going to introduce Janice Rebibo. Janice has lived both in Boston and in Israel. I guess she lived in Israel for 20 years. She writes poetry in both languages, and her recent book, A Stranger in Zion, won the Israeli President's Award. She leads workshops at Brandeis and at Middlebury College, and she will read in Hebrew and a poem of her own.
So I'm going to take you on a journey. You'll have to trust me. We're going to go to the Middle East together. My first reading will be from a poet, I don't know how to say it, put it down a little bit, a very popular Israeli poet named Natan Yonatan, show and tell for you. And I'm going to read in Hebrew first, because I want you just to hear the music of his poetry. His poetry, he was such a popular poet, it didn't actually serve him very well, and only after his death was he given serious critical attention, because over 100 of his poems were set to music during his lifetime, and are popular pop songs in Israel. I'll give you a hint. It's called Where Would We Be Going? And it's in my translation. This is a book of my translations of Natan. לאן היינו הולכים? מה שמעציב זה לא שהארץ משתנה, שפצעי המחצבות קרועים. הלא אין דבר שאי אפשר לרמות בצבעים, אלא שאצלנו האוויר עוזר, ולא נמריא להרים. נשאר לעמוד בקצה שמורת ארץ אבות, טועים בין אלוני בחוט דיונות זהובות. ועז קטנה שנתנה לנו מחלבה ומצמרה, וברגליה הרזות חתרה לנו דרך בחולות אל צל החרוב. ולולי תקשה, אנה אז היינו באים? לאן היינו הולכים עכשיו? Where would we be going? What is saddening is not that the land is changing, that jagged quarry wounds cut deep within. After all, a little paint will cover up a multitude of sin, but that we are running out of air and we won't soar up to the mountains. At the edge of the land of our fathers' nature park will be standing between the weeping oaks and golden dunes stranded, while there is a little goat who shared her milk and wool with us, who with her thin legs carved a path for us through the sand to the shade of a carob bough. And had she not persisted, where would we have been? where would we be going now? And now a poem that I wrote originally in Hebrew that first appeared, there's a little book in Hebrew called Targilei Chisur, which basically means subtraction problems. And later, in a book that has, I think, a telling title called Zara B'Tzion, A Stranger in Zion, that's me, maybe. And was also the subject of a TV show in Israel, kind of controversial. And you'll listen to it first, and then you'll understand. Hekerut, and there's a motto in English, which is Palestine is ours, Jerusalem is ours, the Popular Front. Ramallah כמערבולת וחושי צפים בה כמו פתיתי שם מעורבלים בה כל אחד לחוד במידת מה של אטימות ברחוב המטפס וסביב לכיכרות הנבנות והולכות בצהרי יום עסקים גלעד בצומת. את סתם יהודייה? היא שאלה בשפת אמי בתל אביב או ישראלית. בדרך אל המיניבוס הדיפלומטי אחרי מפלט מסעדת אלברדוני שם טיפל מלצר אדיב בשיפודיי באמצעות סכין כהה ומנצנצת בקשת תנועתו שהייתה כמעט קידה. תרגמה לי את הכתובת על הקיר. It's called Getting Acquainted. And again, the motto is Palestine is ours, Jerusalem is ours, the Popular Front. We're in the Middle East. Ramallah is like a maelstrom, and my senses float there as if they were flakes of cork whirling there, each on its own, and to some degree impervious on the street that climbs and rounds the city squares under construction, rising up at noon on a bustling business day, Galed, a stone of witness at the crossing. Are you just a Jew? She'd asked in my native tongue in Tel Aviv, or an Israeli? On the way to the diplomatic minivan after the haven of the Al-Balduni restaurant, where a gracious waiter saw to my skewers by means of a dull knife that glinted in the arc of his gesture that was almost a bow, she translated the writing on the wall for me. And then back to Brookline. So I'm back in Brookline, and you have to land. So we landed locally, and this is just a poem from 2010. As he waited for the half and half. His meter was not running out this time, he laughed. And to my left, a white-shirted fellow under 40 told his cropped, silver-haired woman companion on the neighboring stool by the window about our children's passion at the village Starbucks on New Year's Day 2010. Thank you.
That was beautiful to hear your poem in Hebrew and then the English, and the others too. Next we're going to have Eunae Kweon, and so her. Oh, Giti, I'm sorry, I did, thank you. Right, no? Let's just wait for a minute. Next, I'm so sorry, is Giti Ganjei Saeidian. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She is a commissioner for the arts in Brookline and a real estate agent. And she has come from Iran 20 years ago or so. She studied at the museum school, and she's a beautiful artist. And she also helped me organize several readers for this event, and I'm very grateful. And she will read in Persian. Welcome.
Hi everyone. Growing up in Iran, we were actually part of the 12 years curriculum. We had to memorize a lot of these poems from 10th centuries to dark ages of Iran. So, but at the same time, when you go through and read them, you realize that how rich they are and how they can enrich your life when you read them. you read them as a love story. They look like love stories, especially Hafez or Khayyam or Rumi. But when you dig down, look at them, it's basically metaphorically points out your life and your concept of living. I'm going to read 3 rubais from Khayyam. Khayyam was a poet from 11th centuries, and I call him Michelangelo of Iran because he was not just a poet, but he was a philosopher, polymath, mathematician, astronomer, and also he wrote treatises of mechanics, geography, mineralogy, music, climatology, and Islamic theory. He was born in Neyshabur, and when he was young, moved to Samarkand, which is part of Afghanistan right now. And he educated there and moved to Bukhara, and so he basically circulated his life into mastering mathematics and astronomy, and he actually has a traces as an algebra, which we all learn in our schools in the entire world. The traces and demonstration of problems of algebra, which includes geometric methods for solving cubic equations and so on. I'm going to read the poem in Persian first, and just with one sentence translated, not word by word. I don't think it's word by word really meant just do the justice for it. ای رفته به چوگان قضا همچون گو چپ میخورد و راست میرود هیچ مگو کان کس که تو را افکند اندر تک و پو او داند و او داند و او داند و او. It says that it's a play of polo, describing the polo game, that when the rider passes the ball back and forth, you don't know, the ball doesn't know what's going on, but the person who passes the ball knows what's going on, and he's the only one knowing it. The second one is افسوس که نامه جوانی طی شد وان تازه بهار زندگانی دی شد آن مرغ طرب که نام او بود شباب فریاد ندانم که کی آمد کی شد. It talks about how our youthfulness comes and goes without knowing that the bird of our youthfulness come to end and we don't know really how it comes and how it ends. قومی متفکرند در مذهب و دین جمعی متحیرند در شک و یقین ناگاه برآمد منادی ز کمین کی بی خبران راه نه این است و نه این نه آن است و نه این. It talks about, I guess, we can call it religious, we can call it philosophy of life or whatever. It talks about people who believe in religious and people who do not believe in religious, and someone comes from nowhere and says, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's not this one, not neither that one. So just wonder. I guess that's the advice. I also have a poem that I recently wrote it myself, and this is my first poem ever wrote. And it's inspired by, should I read that? Yes, just get close. Do I have enough time? Do I have enough time? Yeah, okay. Inspired by Judith project about Brookline, and our beauties of Brookline and how we live here and how we get inspired by it. So as a student at MFA, I had a project about trees, and that came up to a set of drawings that I did. And just recently came up to this poem that I think I like it a lot. I don't know if you do. Trees that could talk, trees that could talk, trees that you pass them by day after day, trees that could talk, look so unassuming and quiet. They talk about you and me. They talk about birth. They talk about love. They talk about odyssey of life. Yes, they talk about autumn in our life. And in part, they talk about demise and passing to another life. Trees that talk about transformation of beauties. These trees talking about life, they live in Brookline.
Thank you so much, Giti. Okay, so now Eunae Kweon and Her, do I have that pronounced correctly? And they are 7th graders at the Baker School. And they're going to be reading poems in Korean. And I will help you.
Hi, my name is Annette, and this poem is to friend. It is about the writer wants to be a good friend and describe about friend that he wants. 거세게 이혜인 마주 앉아 말없이 흐르는 시간이 결코 아깝지 않은 친구이고 싶다. 아이스크림을 먹고 싶다 했을 때 유치하지 않은 친구이고 싶다. 울고 싶다고 했을 때 거두어줄 수 있고 내가 기뻐할 때 진심으로 기뻐해주는 친구이고 싶다. 비록 외모가 초라해도 눈부신 외면을 아껴줄 수 있는 친구이고 싶다. 별이 쏟아지는 밤거리를 걸어도 실증내지 않을 너의 친구이고 싶다. 안녕이란 한마디가 너와 나에게는 섭섭하지 않을 그런 친구이고 싶다. 사랑한다는 그 한마디가 눈물 겪도록 소중한 친구이고 싶다.
Describe the sound of sunshine, wine, and trees, which tell the spring is come. 햇빛이 말이 걸다, 권대웅. 글을 걷는데 햇빛이 말을 툭 건드린다, 봄이야. 그 말을 하나하고 멀고 먼 길을 달려온 빛 하나가 내 이마를 건드리며 떨어진 것이다. 나무 단잎 피우려고 잔뜩 꽃잎에 눈꺼풀 깨우려고 지상에 내려오는 햇빛들 나에게 사명을 다하며 떨어진 햇빛 보다가 문득 나는 이 세상의 모든 햇빛이 이야기를 한다는 걸 알았다. 강물에게 나뭇잎에게 세상의 모든 프랑크론들에게 말을 걸면 내려온다는 것을 알았다. 반짝이면 날아오는 물방울들, 초록으로 빨강으로 답하는 튤립들, 꽃들, 눈비스무로 가득 차 서로 통하고 있었다. 봄이야 라고 말하며 떨어진 햇빛에 귀를 기울여 본다. 그의 소리를 듣고 푸른 그 귀 하나가 땅속으로 쏟아 오르고 있었다.
Baker School are students of Jungwon Chung. Is she here tonight? No. Please tell her thank you, though, from me. Okay, we're going to go on to Jim Cates, who is president and co-director of Zephyr Books, this amazing display of books from poetry around the world. And he has published widely, teaches in Massachusetts and New Hampshire creative writing and literary translation, and won an NEA fellowship in 2006 for a translation project. He will read his own translation of a poem, which will be read in Russian by Lilia, and a poem in French.
So we start in French. Poet is Jean-Pierre Ronet. Quand le poète voit un marronnier de la fenêtre d'un hôtel, il dit « Je vois un marronnier de la fenêtre d'un hôtel ». Il désigne le marronnier parce que d'habitude personne ne s'aperçoit de sa présence. Il dit « Je vois un marronnier et sous le marronnier il y a une petite fille avec des cheveux noirs et ses cheveux sont séparés en deux nattes. Il désigne la petite fille parce que d'habitude personne ne s'émeut de la présence d'une petite fille sous un marronnier. Il dit le poète que les marronniers n'existent pas sans les petites filles, que les marrons réchauffent le cœur et que les petites filles mangent les marrons chauds pendant que les petits garçons grimpent dans les branches. Quand le poète voit un marronnier de la fenêtre d'un hôtel, il regarde à travers les feuilles, il voit le visage de celle qu'il aime ou qu'il fait semblant d'aimer. Puis il laisse les feuilles s'envoler entre elles et doucement par les racines de l'arbre, il descend jusqu'à la terre. Et si ce poète est de France, il dit « Cette terre est ma terre. Elle est la terre de France. Et la France est un beau pays. » Puis il se tait. When a poet sees a chestnut tree from a hotel window, he says, I see a chestnut tree from a hotel window. He picks out the chestnut tree because in the ordinary course of things, nobody notices. He says, I see a chestnut tree, and under the chestnut tree, a little girl with dark hair, and her hair is drawn apart in two braids. He picks out the little girl because in the ordinary course of things, nobody feels the presence of a little girl under a chestnut tree. The poet says that chestnut trees do not exist without little girls, that chestnuts warm the heart, and that little girls eat warm chestnuts while little boys clamber in the branches. When a poet sees a chestnut tree from a hotel window, he looks across the leaves and sees the face of the one he loves, or the one he pretends to love. Then he lets the leaves take off, and quietly along the roots of the tree he climbs down to the ground. And if the poet is French, he says, this ground is my ground. This is the ground of France, and France is a beautiful country. Then he shuts up. Viktoriya Ter-Ovanesyan is a Moscow poet. I'll read the English here, and then Lilia will read the Russian, wherever she is. They say if longing gnaws at you, change your house, your country, your hairdo, and your flag. I've done all that, and even changed a likeness for the look of a new land, a nail for a snag. I have dragged a bundle of inconsiderable but weighty baggage into the cellar. I've downed my coffee, eaten the pastries, drunk my drink, even finished off the bottle, moved the furniture, changed the locks, and long since had my fill of the public, answered the call of fate and the doorbell. All to no purpose. Sorrow takes no hike. There's a cure for everything, from as well as for a separation from loved ones, that too. I want to be with you until the very last day and afterwards, if possible, with you.
Говорят, если гложет тоска, измени дом, страну, гардероб и прическу. Я уже. Еще лик на облик страны поменяла, и гвоздь на загвоздку. В душный погреб души отнесла узелок с небольшой, но весомой поклажей. Кофе выпила, съела печенье, глоток заглотила, наклюкалась даже. Переставила мебель, сменила замки. Долго плешь проедала в народе, отвечала на зовы судьбы и звонки. Все напрасно. Печаль не проходит. Средства есть теперь всякие, от, как и для. От разлуки с любимыми тоже. Я хочу быть с тобой до последнего дня. И потом, если нужно.
Thank you. That was beautiful reading, and thank you, Lilia, for helping out in that too. Equal translations by you, right, in French and Russian. Thank you, Jim. Next, we're going to have Viktoriya Ter-Ovanesyan, who is a 7th grader from the Driscoll School, the school where I taught with Lilia, and many of our teachers are here tonight from the Driscoll School.
So the poem I'm going to read is about a winter in Russia, about a very beautiful winter. В тот год осенняя погода стояла долго на дворе. Зимы ждала природа. Снег выпал только в январе. На 3-ю ночь, проснувшись рано, в окно увидела Татьяна поутру побелевший двор, куртины, кровли и забор. На стеклах легкие узоры, деревья в зимнем серебре, сорок веселых на дворе, и мягко устланные горы зимой блистательным ковром. Все ярко, все бело кругом. Зима. Крестьянин, торжествуя, на дроблях обновляет путь. Его лошадка снег почует, плетется рысью как-нибудь. Бразды пушистые взрывая, летит кибитка удалая. Ямщик сидит на облучке, в тулупе, в красном кушаке. Вот бегает дворовый мальчик, в салазку жучку посадив, себя в коня преобразив. Шалуну, что морозил пальчик, ему и больно, и смешно. А мать грозит ему в окно. Но, может быть, такого рода картины вас не привлекут. Все это низкая природа, изящного немного тут. Согретый вдохновением Бога, другой поэт роскошным слогом живописал нам первый снег и все оттенки зимних нег. Он вас пленит, я в том уверен, рисуя в пламенных стихах прогулки тайные в санях. Но я бороться не намерен, ни с ним пока ни с тобой, певец финлянки молодой. Татьяна, русская душою, сама не зная почему, с ее холодной красою любила русскую зиму. На солнце иней в день морозный, и сани, и зарею поздней, сияние розовых снегов, и мглу крещенских вечеров. По старине торжествовали в их доме эти вечера, служанки со всего двора про барышень своих гадали, и им сулили каждый год мужьев военных и поход.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Spectacular. Next we will have Maria Morrero. And I would like to say about Maria that she is a longtime friend of mine, a beloved English language learning teacher at Ruckle, and a poet. Maria also directs summer ELL program and has helped so many students and me love poetry in Spanish and in English. Welcome, Maria Morrero.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Judy. I want to say that today I want to introduce you to a new poet. You have never heard of her. Her name is Lilia Levitina. She was born in 1914 and lived a short life. Of course, during her lifetime, she got no recognition. It was only after she died. She died on the same day that Dylan Thomas died in Manhattan. She was penniless. She had no identification on her, and they buried her in Potter's Field. When her friends discovered that she was missing, they went looking for her, and they were able to find her and repatriate her to Puerto Rico. I have to say that this poet is my favorite for many reasons. If you're a poet from the Caribbean, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, you not only write about love, you write about the love of your homeland. All right? And that is very close to your heart. You write about the inequality that you see. You write about the poverty that you see. And so Julia is a political writer, but she also is a woman that lives a duality. And if you live in these Caribbean countries, you have that duality. All right? Julia de Burgos was a woman growing up around the time that my mother was growing up. She experienced the Depression, and she was divorced. And during that time, that was not a good thing to do. She was considered a loose woman. And so I want to read this poem because in it, she says to us, she tells us, there are two sides to me. The one that society wants me to be, and the one I am. So I'm hoping that I can do this and in the two languages. Okay? The poem is A Julia de Burgos, to Julia de Burgos. Y las gentes murmuran que yo soy tu enemiga, porque dicen que en verso doy al mundo tuyo. Already the people murmur that I am your enemy, because they say that in verse I give the world your me. Mienten, Julia de Burgos, mienten, Julia de Burgos. La que se alza en mis versos no es tu voz, es mi voz. Porque tú eres ropaje y la esencia soy yo. Y el más profundo abismo se tiende entre las dos. They lie, Julia de Burgos, they lie, Julia de Burgos. Who rises in my verses is not your voice, it is my voice. Because you are the dressing and the essence is me. And the most profound abyss is spread between us. Tú eres fría muñeca de mentira social. Y yo, viril destello de la humana verdad. You are the cold doll of social lies. And me, the virile starbust of the human truth. Tú, miel de cortesanas, hipocresías, yo no. Que en todos mis poemas desnudo el corazón. You, honey of courtesan hypocrisies, not me. In all my poems I undress my heart. Tú eres como tu mundo, egoísta, yo no. Que en todo me lo juego a ser lo que soy yo. You are like your world, selfish, not me, who gambles everything betting on what I am. Tú eres solo la grave señora señorona, yo no. Yo soy la vida, la fuerza, la mujer. You are only the ponderous lady, very lady. Not me, I am life, strength, woman. Tú eres de tu marido, de tu amo. Yo no. Yo de nadie o de todos. Porque a todos en mi limpio sentir y en mi pensar me doy. You belong to your husband, your master, not me. I belong to nobody at all, because to all I give myself in my clean feeling and in my thought. Tú te rizas el pelo y te pintas, yo no. A mí me riza el viento, a mí me pinta el sol. You curl your hair and paint yourself, not me. The wind curls my hair, the sun paints me. Tú eres dama casera, resignada, sumisa, atada a los prejuicios de los hombres. Yo no. Que yo soy Rocinante corriendo desbocado, olfateando horizontes de justicia de Dios. You are a housewife, resigned, submissive, tied to the prejudices of men, not me. Unbridled, I am runaway Rocinante, snorting horizons of God's justice. Tú en ti misma no mandas, y a ti todos te mandan. En ti mandan tu esposo, tus padres, tus parientes, el cura, la modista, el teatro, el casino, el auto, el banquete, el champán, el cielo y el infierno, y el que dirán social. You, in yourself, have no say. Everyone governs you. Your husband, your parents, your family, the priest, the dressmaker, the theater, the dance hall, the altar, the fine furnishings, the feast, the champagne, heaven and hell, and the social, what will they say? En mí, no. Que en mí manda mi solo corazón, mi solo pensamiento. Quien manda en mí soy yo. Tu flor de aristocracia y yo la flor del pueblo. Tú en ti lo tienes todo y a todos se lo debes. Mientras que yo, nadie a nadie se la debo. Not in me, only my heart governs, only my thought. Who governs in me is me. You, flower of aristocracy, and me, flower of the people. You and you have everything, and you owe it to everyone. While me, my nothing I owe to nobody. Tú clavada al estático dividendo ancestral, y yo un uno en la cifra del divisor social. Somos el duelo a muerte que se acerca fatal. You, nailed to the static ancestral dividend, and me, a one in the numerical social divider. We are the duel to death who fatally approaches. Cuando las multitudes corran alborotadas, dejando atrás cenizas de injusticia quemadas, y cuando con la tea de las 7 virtudes, tras los 7 pecados, corran las multitudes, contra ti y contra todo lo injusto y lo inhumano, yo iré en medio de ellas con la tea en la mano. When the multitudes run rioting, leaving behind ashes of burned injustices, and with the torch of the 7 virtues, the multitudes run after the 7 sins. against you and against everything unjust and inhuman, I will be in their midst with a torch in my hand.
The translator.
And Jacob Lips.
Thank you so much. If you go to Puerto Rico, you will hear more about that wonderful poet. Okay, we are going to go on with Jungmin Lee, Hae-in Park, and also Do Young Park can all come up. And Jungmin Lee and Hae-in Park are both from the Baker School, 7th graders. And Ju Young Park is from Brookline High School, a junior.
Hi, my name is Jungmin Lee, and I'm going to read the poem named "You're a Beautiful Person Because You Have a Dream." This is a poem about people who have dream and try to achieve the dream. Is more beautiful than people who is rich and famous. Before reading, sorry for that, I couldn't get the translation of this poem. 당신은 꿈이 있어 아름다운 사람입니다. 고도원. 노래를 잘 부르는 사람보다 노래를 잘할 수 있다는 꿈을 가진 이가 더 아름답습니다. 지금 공부를 잘하는 사람보다 공부를 더 잘할 수 있다는 꿈을 간직한 이가 더 아름답습니다. 숱한 역경 속에서 아름다운 삶을 꽃피우는 사람들은 한결같이 원대한 꿈을 가졌습니다. 아무래 시대에 문지기를 자청하던 김구 선생도 대한민국의 독립을 꿈꾸었습니다. 젊고 나약하기만 했던 간디도 인도의 독립의 꿈을 버리지 않았습니다. 두 기가 먼 절망의 늪에서도 베토벤은 위대한 교향곡을 꿈꾸었습니다. 꿈이 있는 사람은 아름답습니다. 돈을 많이 가진 사람보다 돈을 많이 벌 수 있다는 꿈을 가진 이가 더 행복합니다. 글을 잘 쓰는 작가보다도 글을 잘 쓸 수 있다는 꿈을 안고 사는 이가 더 아름답습니다. 꿈은 인간의 생각을, 평범한 것들을 위로 끌어올려주는 날개입니다. 내일에 대한 꿈이 있으면 오늘의 좌절과 절망은 아무런 문제가 되지 않습니다.
Hi, I'm Hae-in. I read The Night of Counting Stars, written by Yoon Dong-ju. This poem is about the writer described the sorrow of parting with his mother because of invasion of Japan. So he misses his mother by looking the stars. 별하는 밤, 윤동주. 계절이 지나가는 하늘에는 가을로 가득 차 있습니다. 나는 아무 걱정도 없이 가을 속의 별들을 다 헤아릴 듯합니다. 가슴 속에 하나 둘 새겨지는 별을 이제 다 못 해는 것은 쉬이 아침이 오는 까닭이요 내일 밤이 남은 까닭이요 아직 나의 청춘이 다하지 않은 까닭입니다. 별 하나의 추억과 별 하나의 사랑과 별 하나의 쓸쓸함과 별 하나의 동경과 별 하나의 시와 별 하나의 어머님, 나는 별 하나의 아름다운 말 한마디씩 불러봅니다. 수학교 때 책상에 같이 했던 아이들의 이름과 배경옥, 이런 이국 소녀들의 이름과 벌써 애기 어머니 된 개들의 이름과 가난한 이곳 사람들의 이름과 비둘기, 강아지, 토끼, 노새, 노루, 프랑시스잔, 라이너 마리아 릴케 이런 시인의 이름을 불러봅니다. 이네들은 너무나 멀리 있습니다. 별이 아스라에 멀듯이. 어머님, 그리고 당신은 멀리 북간도에 계십니다. 나는 무엇인지 그리워 이 많은 별빛이 내린 언덕 위에 내 이름자를 써보고 흙으로 덮어버리었습니다. 나는 밤을 새워오는 벌레는 부끄러운 이름을 실패하는 까닭입니다.
Hi, I'm going to read a short poem in English and Korean. It's written by Korean poet Yoon Dong-ju, same as her poet. He wrote resistance poetry against Japanese during the period of Japanese rule. His poems capture daily activity in a sensuous view. Prologue, Yoon Dong-ju. May I look up the heaven until the day I die, without a bit of shame, from even the wind rustling the leaves. I have suffered. With the heart singing the stars, I shall love all that is to die, and the past given me. Shall I walk. Tonight, also, the stars are touched by wind. This is translation. Yeah. 서시 윤동주. 죽는 날까지 하늘을 우러러 한 점 부끄럼이 없기를. 잎새에 있는 바람에도 나는 괴로워했다. 별을 노래하는 마음으로 모든 죽어가는 것을 사랑해야지. 그리고 나에게 주어진 길을 걸어가야겠다. 오늘 밤에도 별이 바람에 스치운다. Thank you.
We're really lucky to have these poems in Korean and be able to hear the poetry of Korea. And I really want to thank our students who came were brave enough to stand up here and read and speak about the poetry of Korea. So we are really a lucky audience to hear your poems. Please give our thanks to your teachers and to the parents who brought these students. We're very, very grateful. We have 2 readers before Elizabeth, and I think we'll be doing okay. One is Agnes Alberola. Are you here? And Agnes is the coordinator of all foreign language for Brookline High School. And so we're very honored to have you come. And I just want to say that she started a French immersion program in Milton long ago and also has taught all grades, K through 12. So please welcome Agnes.
So many poems to choose from, so it's hard to pick, but I picked 2. One from a poet named Verlaine that was written around 1860, and I chose it because I think even if you don't understand what it says, it has a musicality that might appeal to you, and it actually has been put into music by many different people. So I'm going to read it to you first in French. Il pleure dans mon cœur comme il pleut sur la ville. Quelle est cette langueur qui pénètre mon cœur? Oh, bruit doux de la pluie par terre et sur les toits, pour un cœur qui s'ennuie, oh le chant de la pluie. Il pleure sans raison, dans ce cœur qui s'écœure. Quoi? Nulle trahison, ce deuil est sans raison? C'est bien la pire peine de ne savoir pourquoi, sans amour et sans haine, mon cœur a tant de peine. So the translation, I'm sorry, I don't know who translated it. There's weeping in my heart, like the rain falling on the town. What is this languor that pervades my heart? Oh, the patter of the rain on the ground and the roofs, for our heart growing weary, oh, the song of the rain. There is weeping without cause in this disheartened heart. What? No betrayal. There is no reason for this grief. Truly, the worst pain is not knowing why, without love or hatred, my heart feels so much pain. Then I'm going to take you in a very different direction. It's a poem that was written around 1950 by a favorite of our students. His name is Jacques Prévert, and it's called Page d'écriture. And again, I'm going to read it to you first in French, and then I'll read it to you in English. Page d'écriture. 2 et 2, 4, 4 et 4, 8, 8 et 8 font 16. Répétez, dit le maître. 2 et 2, 4, 4 et 4, 8, 8 et 8 font 16. Mais voilà l'oiseau lyre qui passe dans le ciel. L'enfant le voit, l'enfant l'entend, l'enfant l'appelle. Sauve-moi, joue avec moi, oiseau. Alors l'oiseau descend. 2 et 2, 4, répétez, dit le maître. Et l'enfant joue, l'oiseau joue avec lui. 4 et 4, 8, 8 et 8 font 16. Et 16 et 16, qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Ils ne font rien, 16 et 16. Et surtout pas 32. De toute façon, et ils s'en vont. Et l'enfant a caché l'oiseau dans son pupitre, et tous les enfants entendent sa chanson, et tous les enfants entendent la musique, et 8 et 8, à leur tour, s'en vont. Et 4 et 4, et 2 et 2, à leur tour, fichent le camp. Et 1 et 1 ne font ni une ni deux, 1 s'en vont également. Et l'oiseau lyre joue, et l'enfant chante, et le professeur crie « Quand vous aurez fini de faire le pitre !» Mais tous les autres enfants écoutent la musique, et les murs de la classe s'écroulent tranquillement. Et les vitres redeviennent sable, l'encre redevient eau, les pupitres redeviennent arbres, la craie redevient falaise, le porte-plume redevient oiseau. So it's called Page of Writing, and it takes place in a sort of an old-fashioned classroom, not like we have in Brookline. I don't have the translator, I'm so sorry. 2 and 2 make 4, 4 and 4 make 8, 8 and 8 make 16. Repeat, calls the schoolmaster. 2 and 2 make 4, 4 and 4 make 8, 8 and 8 make 16. But look at the songbird passing in the sky. The child watches it, the child listens to it, the child calls it, "Save me, play with me, bird." So the bird flies down and plays with the child. 2 and 2 make 4. Repeat, calls the schoolmaster, and the child plays, and the bird plays with the child. 4 and 4 make 8, and 8 make 16, and 16 and 16, what do they make? They make nothing, 16 and 16, and certainly not 32. In any case, they all go away, and the child hides the bird in his desk. And all the other children listen to its song, and all the other children listen to its music, and 8 and 8 go away on their turn, and 4 and 4, and 2 and 2, on their turn, they all skedaddle. And 1 is not 1 nor 2. 1 and 1 go away. And the songbird plays, and the child sings, and the teacher cries, "If you finish clowning around." But all the other children are listening to the music, and the walls of the class slowly fade away, and the window panes return to sand, the ink returns to water, the desk returns to trees, the chalk returns to cliffs, and the feather quill returns to the bird.
Thank you so much. We're really happy that you came. And the other reader is Alice Donchamont, and she is going to read a poem in Romanian. So, welcome, Alice.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this writer, his name is Octavian Parler, if his poems were ever published, but he only wrote less than 2 dozens. And he was an incurable romantic, but this one is called a useless lesson of logic. And I will read the Romanian first and then translate it. Or I won't translate it, someone else translated it rather. Așa se întâmplă logic. Plecăm și sosim undeva. Plecăm pentru o clipă, pentru un ceas, pentru o viață. Poate nu trebuia să plecăm, dar problema nu e asta, ci faptul că sosim undeva. Totdeauna sosim undeva. Poate nu sosim în timp, nu sosim unde trebuie, nu sosim unde am vrut, dar sosim undeva. Și câtă vreme sosim undeva, totul e logic. Chiar dacă logica și fericirea sunt lucruri total diferite. Totuși am plecat și am sosit undeva. Am greșit drumul, dar am sosit undeva. Dar când nu mai sosim nicăieri, totul devine ilogic. Spre ce ne ducem dacă nu sosim nicăieri?
The translation was done by a lady whom I do not know,
and this is what she writes. This is how it happens logically. We leave and we arrive somewhere. We leave for a moment, for an hour, for a lifetime. Perhaps we should not have gone, but that's not the point. The point is that we arrive somewhere. We always arrive somewhere. Perhaps we don't arrive in time. We don't arrive at the place where we should or where we wanted to be, but we arrive somewhere. And as long as we arrive somewhere, everything is logical. Even if logic and happiness are totally different things, at least we left and we arrived somewhere. But from the moment when we don't arrive anywhere, everything becomes illogical. What are we headed for if we don't arrive anywhere?
Thank you. Alice could have also read in French, so a very multilingual person. We have 3 more readers, and if you can stay for 10 more minutes, that would be wonderful. Elizabeth McKim is going to read in French.
Thank you, and what a beautiful evening. It makes the world much more intimate and close to hear all these beautiful poems in so many languages. And thank you, Judy, for our Poet Laureate of Brookline, for putting this together. It was a great vision. So I actually had picked a poem by Jacques Prévert, but I'm not going to read it. I'll just read the first 4 lines. And it's actually a wonderful poem by a woman who is, I don't know, she's a woman of the night. Je suis comme je suis faite comme ça. Que voulez-vous de plus? Que voulez-vous de moi? I am as I am. I was made that way. What more do you want? What do you want from me? And that's by Jacques Prévert, and the translation of this whole book is Harriet Zinnes, but that was just my translation. But the poem that I'm going to do for you tonight is a poem, it's an original poem of mine, and I actually wrote it when I was in Paris. I was all by myself, and you know, I was just sort of wandering around the city and listening and looking and experiencing the city that I'd known since I was a very young woman. And about 2 or 3 in the morning, I woke up and I wrote this poem down, and it was a mysterious poem. And I think of it now as a poem of relationship between 2 very different qualities. It's called La Lune et le Trottoir, the moon and the sidewalk. And you know, when people fall in love, often they acquire the aspects and the qualities of the other. So you've got a very romantic moon and a very tough sidewalk in the beginning. La lune et le trottoir. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il y a? But what's going on? La lune est sur le trottoir. The moon is on the sidewalk. Et le trottoir brille. And the sidewalk is shining. Mais écoute, chérie. But listen, sweetheart. La lune ne coûte rien. The moon costs nothing. Et le trottoir and the sidewalk, tout, ce que tu es, all that you are. Ooh, laisse-la tranquille, je t'en prie. Hey, give me a break, I'm begging you. Regarde, chérie, là-bas. Hey, look over there. Le trottoir se respire maintenant. The sidewalk is breathing into itself. Secret, passionnant, secret, passionate. Et la lune est dure et inflexible. The moon is tough. The moon will not give in.
Elizabeth is my longtime friend and also a poet, performer, and teacher all over the world. And anyway, that was just a little taste. Our second to the last speaker is Ali Mohagarani. And say again? Mohagarani. And I believe that Ali is a great lover of poetry, and he is the owner of the Cuckoo Cafe, which we all love. And now it will be very special. Please welcome Ali.
Hi, my name is Ali, and I'm from Iran. The Persian Empire is just being renovated for now. That's a joke from Maz Jobrani. You can check him out, he's very funny. I was talking to my friend Giti about what to read tonight. Of course, Iran is synonymous with poetry. We grow up with poetry in Iran. It's actually a form of entertainment as we get together at night with people in parties. Reading Hafiz is a normal thing as people pass on the book of Hafiz and they wish something, and the elders of the house, they open up the book and they read, and usually it matches what you're thinking. So we grew up with Hafiz and Saeidian and Rumi and Khayyam. It just goes on and on. But as I looked around, I thought of what has stayed in my head as I grew up. There's a modern poet named Moshiri, Feridun Moshiri, who passed about 12 years ago. Iran's populations of over 75 million, they say it's over 70% are under 30, 35 years old. I know for a fact that anybody in Iran under 60 years old know this poem and love this poem of this man. And the name of the poem is Ali, A-L-L-E-Y. We grew up in cities that had a lot of alleys that we walked through. And these alleys at night and with the moon shadow, and moon was a place where you met up with friends and also saw the girls of the neighbors and talked and fell in love. And whoever reads this poem kind of feels like they have said this poem, or they have acted, or they were part of this poem. And this is how I feel about this poem. I read first in Farsi. It's called Kuche, which is Ali. بی تو مهتاب شبی باز از آن کوچه گذشتم، همه تن چشم شدم خیره به دنبال تو گشتم، شوق دیدار تو لبریز شد از جام وجودم، شدم آن عاشق دیوانه که بودم، در نهان خانه جانم گل یاد تو درخشید، باغ صد خاطره خندید، عطر صد خاطره پیچید. یادم آمد که شبی با هم از آن کوچه گذشتیم، پر گشودیم و در آن خلوت دلخواسته گشتیم، ساعتی بر لب آن جوی نشستیم. تو همه راز جهان ریخته در چشم سیاحت، من همه محو تماشای نگاهت. آسمان صاف و شب آرام، بخت خندان و زمان رام. خوشه ماه فرو ریخته در آب، شاخه ها دست برآورده به مهتاب. شب و صحرا و گل و سنگ، همه دل داده به آواز شباهنگ. یادم آید تو به من گفتی از این عشق حذر کن، لحظه‌ای چند بر این آب نظر کن. آب آینه عشق گذران است، تو که امروز نگاهت به نگاهی نگران است. باش فردا که دلت با دگران است. تا فراموش کنی چندی از این شهر سفر کن. با تو گفتم حذر از عشق ندانم، سفر از پیش تو هرگز نتوانم. روز اول که دل من به تمنای تو پر زد، چون کبوتر لب بام تو نشستم. تو به من سنگ زدی، من نرمیدم نگسستم. باز گفتم که تو صیادی و من آهوی دشتم. تا به دام تو درافتم همه جا گشتم. حذر از عشق نتوانم. اشکی از شاخه فرو ریخت، مرغ شب ناله تلخی زد و بگریخت. اشک در چشم تو لرزید، ماه بر عشق تو خندید. یادم آید که دگر از تو جوابی نشنیدم. پای در دامن اندوه کشیدم، نگسستم نرمیدم. رفت در ظلمت غم آن شب و شبهای دگر هم. نگرفتی دگر از عاشق آزرده خبر هم. نکنی دیگر از آن کوچه گذر هم. بی تو اما به چه حالی من از آن کوچه گذشتم. The Alley by Feridun Moshiri, translation by Iraj Bashiri. Without you, on a moonlit night, my thoughts aflight, I visited that alley again. My body transformed into eyes, craved to actualize another meeting with you in vain. Sweet anticipation of love's rejuvenation overflowed my mortal cup. In that sacred locality, outside all reality, the crazed lover with me caught up. Thorns of your being blossomed in every recess of my soul. Recollections of your laughter echoed from pole to pole. The perfume of lost memories permeated the whole as I recalled that night, the alley, the realm of silence, the brook, and the glance I took. Your black eyes, full of mystery, full of the elixir of life, enchanted me. What magic, what strife. The sky was clear, the night calm, luck happy, time tame. Moonbeams poured into every nook, lighting up the branches in the brook. And the night and the fields and the flowers and the rocks that hasty they forsook. I recall you say, avoid this love, heed the current, the mirror of transient life. Today my looks, whose tomorrow would please you most, my dove? Forget me, you said, leave this town a while, preserve that God-given smile, but avoid your love, I shall not. I said, I will not till death. The instant my heart, my love partridge, lit at your roof, you threw stones to force me leave, but I did not, neither did I grieve. You are a hunter, I said, I the game, forcing my way into your trap to make me tame. I shall not abandon you, I will not go away, not until you do the same. Droplets oozed down a branch. With bitter groan, the bird of night took to flight. Tears gathered in your eyes, the moon's laughter at my plight, reminding me of the response I never received. Sadness engulfed me. I persisted. I did not leave. That night, the next night, all my nights joined the darkness that only nights perceive. You no longer recall the heartbroken lover you had. You never walked down that alley so sad. Only if you knew the distress I went through walking down that alley without you.
We have one more poem in Swedish, and there's going to be an announcement that gives us our first warning about the library. So I just wanted to warn you ahead of time. You've got 5 minutes, don't worry, you're okay. When we're done here, let me just say that, Jonathan, we're going to have to wait till the next one, and I really apologize, but maybe you could start the next event that we have. And I also want to thank everybody right now for coming out. See, we still have enough time to hear a poem in Swedish, but anyway, thank you so much. This was the first event like this, I think, in Brookline, and perhaps it will become an annual event, and those people who are interested in it could leave their names and emails and let us know that. And also, people who read will be leaving copies of their poems or sending them to me, so we'll have a collection of the poems that we heard tonight. So tonight we're going to end with Phil Spicer, and Phil is a arts therapist and has I've lost track of my intro, but anyway, yes, I've known him for a long time, and he's lived in Sweden and lived here and all over the world. So, take it away.
Visst gör det ont of Karin Boye. Yes, of course it hurts. And I wanted you just to hear that Visst gör det ont, for it's a poem also that you say that phrase, and most Swedes will complete the entire poem from the heart. And it captures the pain and suffering the universal pain and suffering of human beings, and the ability to transform that pain and suffering into something beautiful through metaphor. The metaphor of the knoppar, the buds on the tree at springtime, just waiting to burst and break out into new life. Visst gör det ont när knoppar brister. Varför skulle det annars våren tveka? Varför skulle all vår heta längtan bindas i det frusna bitterblekar? Ja, visst gör det ont när knoppar brister. Ont för det som växer och det som stänger. Yes, of course it hurts when buds are breaking. Why else would the springtime falter? Why would all our longing bind itself in frozen, bitter paleness? After all, the bud was covered all winter. Yes, of course it hurts when buds are breaking. Hurts for that which grows, and that's that which bars. Då när det är värst och inget hjälper, brister som i jubelträdets knoppar. Då när ingen rädsla längre håller, faller i ett glitterkvistens droppar. Faller, glömmer att de skrämdes av det nya, glömmer att de ängslades för färden, känner en sekund sin största trygghet, vilar i den tillit som skapar världen. Then, when things are worse, then nothing helps. The tree's buds break as in rejoicing. Then, when no fear holds back any longer. Down in glitter go the twigs, drops plunging. Forget that they were frightened by the new. Forget their fear because the flight unfurled. Feel for a second their greatest safety. Rest in that trust that creates the world. Translated by David Macduff in Karen Boyer's complete works by Karen Boyer.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Read so well too. And I want to remind you that Jim Cates has the Zephyr books out.
We probably have time if you already sell it, will we?
There's always time to do some selling. If you would like to buy a book, he also takes credit cards. And also, Jim and I will be reading with Barbara Hyatt on November 13th at the Booksmith at 7. On the back of your program are all the upcoming events with the Poet Laureate and other interesting things, First Light. So thank you again for coming. Please take some food on your way out.